Crypto cats, my name is Tom, I am the crypto investor, and it's time for our weekly market roundup. Obviously, it has been horrific, probably the worst week in crypto since I got involved back in 2013. There is one token which is missing from here, and that is of course Terra Luna, which imploded, and we saw $50 billion of value wiped out from the market, and it dragged down with it other tokens significantly as well. ETH is down 19% now on the week, just over $2,000. Bitcoin sitting at $30,000, down 13%. Most L1s are down 20 to 30% or so. And yeah, it was huge. And it's going to take a while for us to recover from this. When you look at the total value locked in crypto, so here was Terra Luna, which was 14. It was the second biggest store of value in crypto last week, and now it's just gone. So yeah, you can see it's actually still here. Terra is at 14th place, still with half a billion somehow, but 98% haircut on that value. And yeah, they've halted the blockchain. I think this paints it fairly well. This is the price of Terra, and of course Terra Luna was an algorithmic stablecoin that acts as a counterbalance to UST, the native stablecoin. And when UST got printed, Luna got burnt. And then, of course, when UST got sold, Luna got printed. And that's what we saw happen. So this is the price of Luna. And down here, you can't even really see it, this little blue line is a circulating supply of Luna, which was at 360,000, dropped down to like 345,000 million, and then now it has shot up, and the total amount of Luna in circulation is 6.5 trillion tokens. So you can see here today 6.5 trillion, 340 million 7 days ago. And so of course this has pushed the token price down to 0.00001, whatever it may be, because of this kind of Riemark hyperinflation. So yeah, and for those of you who invested in this, I'm very sorry. I was a proponent of Luna. It was my third largest holding. I lost a substantial amount of money this week. But yeah, as I say, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, and I'm just a guy on the internet. Please do your own research. What we are going to see really, I think the real shame is that, of course, we now know that regulators are going to be licking their lips, and Hester Pierce, who's on our side, she's crypto mum, she is saying that they need to have regulation on stablecoins in particular. But we really could see overarching regulation on DeFi. DeFi could be very much threatened by this as a whole. And so that's why we have seen Ethereum hit a lot harder than, say, Bitcoin, for example. And then you also have to remember that there are plenty of projects out there which were keeping their war chests in USDC, USDT, but also in UST. And so will have also lost a lot of their holdings behind the scenes as well. And I think we're still going to get fallout of that and the severity of it. All right, on to macro. We can see that if we had the CPI numbers, this would have been the big news of the week, that inflation, it was 8.5% in March, and last month's print actually came in lower. So we got 8.3% inflation. So it's good to actually see we started to move back in the right direction. However, the market was anticipating 8.1, and so dropped a bollock. But it is coming down. If we can actually get something closer to 8% or even lower next month, that would be a real win for the market, and we'll have less of a threat of interest rates having to rise, and we can actually see the stock market start to turn around a little bit on the back of this. We will see. This week we also saw Tether, USDT, losing its peg, as well as many people started to get scared and sell USDT. In fact, if we check out the charts, you can see that at one point it was down to 94 cents, so it's 6% off its peg. And this was really worrying as well. This is when Ethereum was down to 1,700 on the week. People were scared about us losing this. it ended up being the trade of the day. You had a free 6% return on your money if you bought USDT when it was down here. And yeah, it's since returned to its peg, which is good. There was concerns about Coinbase going bankrupt. So they had their earnings, and in their earnings they said that in the terms and conditions, if they were to fail, then the cryptocurrency of their clients could be used to pay for that bankruptcy. And I think that's fairly standard in all banks, not unique to just Coinbase, but this got people terrified as well. I don't know if they had a run on Coinbase, we will see. But you have to remember that this is a company which has, where is it? So yeah, they are worth 13 billion and they have 6 billion in cash. So half of their valuation is cash. And their price to earnings ratio is still only 6.5. Forward, yeah, 24, so not quite as good. That's probably about the same as, like, say, Apple or Microsoft. But still represents a pretty cheap stock with long-term growth potential, in my opinion. I snagged some up at 55 personally last week. All right, so massive news, I mentioned it last week, was that Instagram is adding NFTs to their platform, and you will be able to use, they'll be using Ethereum, Polygon, Flow, and Solana, I believe. Yep, there it is. Again, not really seeing much token price move on this, all drowned out by the huge events happening with the Terra Luna ecosystem. If you haven't, if you did your homework and used Hop Exchange as we talked about, then hopefully you qualify for the airdrop. Do go to app.hop.exchange to check your address. I got some Hop tokens that are going to be sent to me once it comes out next week, I believe. Same with Optimism, not sure when theirs, it's another month or two away, but you can check your address at app.optimism.io and see if you have qualified for Optimism. If you've been using these as a regular customer, then you will have qualified. They're getting more and more sophisticated, so you can't just kind of log in once and use it. They're trying to stop people that are airdrop farming, so generally you just have to actually be a customer and use these things these days if you want to qualify for retroactive airdrops. All right, on to POKT news. POKT, obviously the token price has been horrific, and one of the reasons it has been under so much pressure is that node runners had to sell their POKT to pay for the server costs. Each node costs like $260 per month to run. So one of the proposals that is going to be on the table this week will be to maybe double also the amount of POKT needed to run a node, which would mean halving the amount of nodes out there, but that would mean halving those infrastructure costs to node runners, which would have a big impact on that sell pressure. So I really hope that comes through. It could be even more. It could be reducing it by 3/4 or like needing 4x the amount of POKT to run a node. We will see, because right now there's way too many nodes. It doesn't need that kind of capacity for the amount of relays that it's serving. All right, let's jump into the charts. So to give you some hopium, this is looking at the NASDAQ, and we actually have had a bit of a bounce on Friday's session. The NASDAQ closed 5.5% up from its lows that it hit, and has formed a bit of a hammer, which on its own doesn't necessarily constitute a turnaround. But if we get a close next week over 2600, then that really signal a bit of a turnaround in the markets here. You can see this was a pretty definitive line that we've managed to hold above, somehow fighting back on Friday's session. So 4% up on Friday. It's a glimmer of hope. It's not much, but it's just something out there to give us some faith that we could turn around a bit here. It was the TradFi markets that were dragging us down. Now we are tarnished by the USDT Luna debacle, but yes, it is something. We will see if we can see some follow through on the TradFi markets. Just to give you some chart gore, this is looking at Luna, and we were moving quite nicely in this wedge, only to break it and just capitulate. I mean, it looks like a meme to see this. It's just extraordinary to the David Hoffman at Bankless said. It was like a turkey at Christmas that everything's fine until suddenly your head's cut off, and that's kind of how Luna has demised. All right, looking at Bitcoin. I wanted to anyway. Where are you, Bitcoin? I want to show you this on the log chart. I think I've already got it on the log chart. Okay, so you can see that we've been holding this kind of long-term regression curve apart from the liquidity event in 2020, which I consider an erroneous data point. I think I said all this last week. And then I wanted to share that I feel that we have 3 different very strong support lines here just below us. So we came down to 25,000. We've since bounced back up to just shy of 30. If we do come back down and test here, we're by no means out of the waters. We do have the long-term regression line at 24,000. We have the 200-day moving average at 22,000, and we have the previous 2017 high at just under 20,000. So, all of those should offer massive support. If we did get a breakdown from here, the lowest, that would be another 33% down from here, or 27 or 17. So we're starting to get to a point where the risk return is becoming a bit more to the upside. So I'm personally deploying a little bit of capital to dollar cost average into positions. I'm still mostly buying Ethereum. Ethereum bounced fairly nicely off this support line here at 1700. You can see it was tested 3 times in the past, so it was no wonder this is where there was a lot of buy orders set in the market. And if you look at the Bitcoin Ethereum ratio, you can see that it was a bad week for Ethereum versus Bitcoin. We lost, let's turn the log chart, it is turned off. We saw about a 6% drop in the value of Ethereum versus Bitcoin. And this is because, as I said, the whole ecosystem is now, had some faith eroded from it. Is DeFi going to persist? Is this a thing, or is it just basically a store of wealth through Bitcoin? I mean, I think we can say with some confidence that it is going to be a thing, that Bitcoin and Ethereum will hit new all-time highs in the future. It's just a case of when. Many alts, possibly not, and that's the scary thing. And if we look at the alt chart on the weekly, you can see that we just had a horrible week. Overall, alts were down 40% on the week. It has since bounced back, but not looking good. And people are firmly in belief now that we are in a bear market, and so they're favouring the strength and stability of those blue chips, the Bitcoins and Ethereums and their stable coins. There will be some alts that do very well during the bear market, but it's extremely hard to know which they are, and many will bleed and never ever see those all-time highs that they achieved again. So anyway, cheery. Looking at, so Bitcoin's dominance obviously shot up on the back of this week as investors move towards the safer havens within this space. It is the highest high we've seen for Bitcoin in 200 days in its dominance. ETH's dominance is at 19.5%. It did for a second break that 20% stubborn area, only to reverse very quickly. But yeah, still holding fairly high, really, compared to, say, things like Solana's. Oh no, it's because I'm on a log chart. There we go. Compared to something like Solana's dominance, which is way off those highs now. Solana's dominance is 50% down from where it was. Cardano's dominance is down 70% from where it was. Interesting to see how AVAX is holding up. That is its chart. So AVAX has come down significantly. Most of these other L1 alternatives are really getting beat up. AVAX is one of the ones I would be more confident in, but again, it's scary during a bear market. It could still bleed further. I wanted to see the dominance. Imagine it's down significantly. Yeah, I mean, not quite as bad as Solana, I don't believe. 44% down. All right, and then just finally looking at the total market cap. If you're still here, by the way, please do press the like button. Please do subscribe and all that stuff. I imagine you've already subscribed if you're still here at this point. All right, finally looking at the total market cap of crypto, you can see that we lost $260 billion, 17% of the total crypto market. We have closed, well, we're probably going to close right at this similar kind of support line here at 1.27. I feel like we have a relief rally probably coming up. We will see. Not financial advice by any means, but I think it looks like the TradFi markets could at least have a relief rally, and then we will see how they go from there. It's going to depend on the broader macro indicators like the inflation prints and such. And I think also, oil has been shooting up, but from what I've seen over the weekend, we're going to have Iran increasing its amount of oil that it pumps into to the markets, and so that should also really help to ease inflation a little bit, because oil is that backbone of everything. Everything is created with oil, and so high oil just pushes up prices significantly. Okay, that is it. I would just finish by saying, that when we look at historically at the stock markets, you can see that right now the stock market is down 25%. Only 6 times in the last nearly 100 years has the stock market been that far down. This is a good tweet from Denver Borders Strauss. And so, if you look at that historically, whether we actually close the year down here, it's unlikely that you're going to get a second year down here. And so, historically speaking, long term, these are good times to be dollar cost averaging into positions. The same goes with crypto. It is a marathon, not a sprint. You have to be looking at the horizon, not your feet. And I would say in closing, really, that bull markets is when you realize money, but bear markets is where you make money. You have to be planting the seeds now to be harvesting them in the bull markets. And I, like probably many of you, didn't take enough profits during the bull markets, and it's an easy mistake to fall into, and it's just something that we need to make sure that we dollar cost average in now as the times are tough, and we dollar cost average out as the euphoria really takes to hold. All right. Happy investing, everyone, and I'll speak to you soon. All the best.